The coffee mug shattered against the wall, missing Elena's head by inches. She flinched, hot liquid spraying across her uniform as her manager David loomed over her, his face twisted with rage. You think you can just walk out on a Friday night shift? You think you're special? His hand rose, and Elena's breath caught in her throat. She'd seen that hand before, seen what it could do to the girls who talked back. The café door burst open with such force the bell tore from its hinge. A man in an expensive charcoal suit stepped inside, his presence filling the cramped space like a storm rolling in. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair swept back and eyes so intensely blue they seemed to cut through the dim lighting. Those eyes locked onto David's raised hand, and his jaw tightened. I'd reconsider that if I were you. His voice was low, calm, but carried a weight that made David freeze mid-motion. This is none of your business, pal. This is between me and my employee. The stranger crossed the distance between them in 3 strides, gripping David's wrist with one hand. His movements were controlled, precise, almost casual. It became my business the moment you decided to threaten a woman half your size in public. He twisted just slightly, and David gasped, dropping to his knees. Now, you're going to apologize to the lady, pack up your things, and never set foot in this establishment again. The owner, who happens to be a friend of mine, will be receiving my call first thing tomorrow morning. Elena stood frozen, her heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. David was actually whimpering, actually nodding, his face pale with something that looked like genuine fear. Who was this man? The stranger released him, and David scrambled backward, tripping over a chair in his haste to grab his jacket and flee. The door slammed behind him, and suddenly the café felt impossibly quiet. The stranger turned to Elena, and his expression softened completely, those intimidating eyes now warm with concern. Are you hurt? He stepped closer, carefully, like she might bolt. Did any of the coffee burn you? Elena's hands were shaking. She looked down at her stained uniform, at the broken mug on the floor, at her entire pathetic life laid out in shattered ceramic. I'm fine, Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. He pulled out a silk handkerchief, who even carried those anymore, and gently wiped coffee from her cheek. The gesture was so unexpectedly tender that tears pricked Elena's eyes. I'm Adrian Russo. Elena Martinez. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. I should clean this up, I should. I don't even know if I still have a job now. You do. I meant what I said about knowing the owner. Adrian's smile was slight but genuine. But you deserve better than this place, Elena Martinez. Better than managers who throw things, and better than minimum wage for maximum abuse. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, pressing it into her palm. His fingers were warm, his touch brief but somehow electric. Come see me tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I have a proposition for you. Elena stared at the card, RUSSOENTRPRISES, with an address in the financial district that made her breath catch. I don't understand. You don't even know me. I know you didn't back down when he threatened you. I know you were ready to keep working even after he threw that mug. That's all I need to know. Adrian walked to the door, then paused, looking back. Come tomorrow, Elena. Let me help. Then he was gone, disappearing into the Chicago night like he'd never been there at all. Elena looked down at the card in her trembling hand, at the embossed lettering catching the light, and wondered if she'd just met her salvation or something far more dangerous. That was the night Elena met the man who would save her and ruin her. The next afternoon, Elena stood outside a gleaming 40-story building that seemed to touch the clouds, second-guessing every decision that had led her here. Her best work clothes, a modest black dress and flats from a thrift store, felt painfully inadequate. She'd almost turned around 3 times, but the memory of David's raised hand, of her empty bank account, of another month she couldn't make rent, pushed her through the revolving doors. The lobby was all marble and modern art, with a security desk manned by 2 guards who looked like they could bench press cars. Elena approached nervously, clutching Adrian's card like a lifeline. I have an appointment with Mr. Russo, Elena Martinez. The guard checked his computer, nodded, and gestured to the elevators. Top floor, he's expecting you. The elevator ride felt like ascending to another world. When the doors opened directly into a penthouse office, Elena's breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a view of the entire city, Lake Michigan sparkling in the distance. The space was sophisticated but warm, leather furniture, bookshelves filled with actual books, and Adrian standing by those impossible windows, phone to his ear. He held up one finger, finishing his conversation in rapid Italian. Elena caught enough to know he was handling something important, something that involved numbers with lots of zeros. When he hung up, his entire demeanor changed. The intimidating businessman melted into something softer. "Elena, you came." He seemed genuinely relieved. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't." She forced herself to meet his eyes. "Mr. Russo." "Adrian, please." "Adrian, I need to be honest. I don't have a college degree. I don't have any special skills besides making coffee and dealing with angry customers. I don't know what proposition you could possibly have for someone like me." Adrian moved to his desk, leaning against it in a way that was disarmingly casual. "I need a personal assistant, someone I can trust, someone loyal, discreet, and unafraid to speak their mind. My last 3 assistants quit because they couldn't handle the pressure or couldn't be trusted with sensitive information." He paused. "But last night, I watched you stand your ground against a man twice your size who was threatening you. That takes courage. That takes character. Those are things I can't teach, Elena. Everything else, I can. You're offering me a job, just like that. $60,000 a year to start, full benefits. I'll cover any training you need." He said it like it was nothing, like he wasn't offering her 3 times what she made now, like he wasn't casually changing her entire life. "What do you say?" Elena's throat tightened. This felt too good to be true, but desperation and hope warred in her chest, and hope was winning. "Why are you doing this, really?" Adrian's expression shifted, something vulnerable flickering across his face. "Because 5 years ago I was you, broke, desperate with a boss who made my life hell. Someone gave me a chance I didn't deserve, and it changed everything. I'm just paying it forward." She believed him. God help her, she believed every word. "Then yes, I'll take the job." The smile that broke across Adrian's face was like sunrise, warm and transformative. He extended his hand, and when Elena shook it, she felt something shift in the air between them. Something that whispered this was going to be more than just a job, more than just a second chance. This was going to change everything. If you're already hooked, hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to get absolutely insane. 3 months passed like a dream Elena kept thinking she'd wake up from. She learned Adrian's schedule, his preferences, his moods. She learned that he took his coffee black at 6 a.m., but with cream after noon. That he spoke 4 languages fluently and was learning a 5th. That his company was legitimate on the surface, but whispered rumors suggested he had other interests, other businesses that operated in shadows. She learned the sound of his laugh, rare and precious when it came. The way he ran his hand through his hair when he was stressed. How his entire face changed when he smiled at her, which happened more and more often. They worked late nights together, ordering takeout and arguing over case files. Adrian started asking her opinion on business decisions, actually listening when she spoke. His colleague Marco, a friendly giant of a man who handled security, started making jokes about them, waggling his eyebrows whenever he caught them standing too close. "Boss man's got it bad," Marco whispered to Elena one afternoon while Adrian was on a call. "I've known him 10 years, never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you." "We're professional," Elena insisted, but her cheeks burned because she knew it was becoming a lie. The truth was, every accidental touch sent electricity through her veins. Every time Adrian's hand brushed her passing documents. Every time he placed his jacket around her shoulders when the office got cold. Every time he said her name in that low voice that made her stomach flip. One Friday evening, a thunderstorm rolled in while they were reviewing contracts. Rain lashed against the windows, lightning illuminating Adrian's office in stark flashes. Elena startled at a particularly loud crack of thunder, and suddenly Adrian was beside her, his hand on her shoulder. "It's just noise," he murmured. "You're safe here." "I know," But she didn't move away. Neither did he. Can I ask you something personal? Adrian's voice was barely above a whisper. Yes. Why were you still working at that cafe? With your intelligence, your work ethic, you could have found something better. Why stay somewhere that treated you so badly? Elena swallowed hard. My father left when I was 10, walked out one morning and never came back. My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat, but she got sick last year. Cancer. She beat it, but the medical bills. She shook her head. I was taking any job I could find, saving every penny. Pride doesn't pay for chemotherapy. Adrian's hand moved from her shoulder to cup her face, tilting it up so she had to meet his eyes. You're extraordinary, you know that? Most people would have given up, would have broken, but you just kept fighting. I learned from the best. My mom taught me that Martinez women don't quit. Tears stung her eyes. What about you? You said someone gave you a chance once. What happened? Something shuddered in Adrian's expression. My mother died when I was 16, my father. He wasn't equipped to raise a kid alone. I acted out, got into trouble, nearly destroyed my future. A mentor took me under his wing, taught me everything about business, about survival. He saved my life. His voice dropped. He passed away 2 years ago. I think about him every day. Is that why you saved me? Because someone saved you? I saved you because the thought of anyone hurting you made me want to commit violence. His thumb traced her cheekbone. And then I got to know you, and saving you wasn't enough anymore. I wanted to know everything about you. I wanted to be the reason you smiled. I wanted. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. What did you want? Elena's heart was racing so fast she thought it might explode. This is inappropriate. You work for me. I'm your boss. I shouldn't. Adrian, she placed her hand over his, still cupping her face. What did you want? You, the word was raw, desperate. I wanted you from the moment you looked at me in that cafe like I was a hero instead of a monster. I want you now. I'll want you tomorrow and every day after. But I can't. We can't. Elena kissed him. She stood on her toes and pressed her lips to his, cutting off his protests with action instead of words. For one breathless second, Adrian froze. Then he kissed her back like a man drowning and she was air, his arms wrapping around her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss was everything, desperate and tender, forbidden and inevitable, wrong and perfect all at once. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. This changes everything. I know. If we do this, we have to be careful. Secret. The company has policies, and my enemies would use you against me if they knew. I don't care, Elena cut him off. I don't care about policies or enemies or anything except this, except you. Elena Martinez, you're going to be the death of me. Then let's die together. They kept their relationship hidden like a precious secret. Stolen kisses in his office after everyone left. Quiet dinners at his penthouse across town. Whispered confessions in the dark. Marco knew, of course, he knew everything, but he kept their secret with a knowing smile and terrible jokes about star-crossed lovers. 3 months became the happiest of Elena's life. Adrian was everything she never knew she needed. Protective but not controlling, generous but never condescending, passionate in ways that made her blush to remember. He looked at her like she hung the moon, touched her like she was made of precious things. One Sunday morning, lying in his bed with sunlight streaming through the windows, Adrian traced patterns on her bare shoulder and asked, "Have you ever thought about the future? Like, really thought about it?" "What do you mean?" "I mean where it goes." He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at her with an intensity that stole her breath. "I'm falling in love with you, Elena. Actually, I'm pretty sure I already fell, and I want to know if you're falling too or if I'm alone in this." Elena's heart swelled so big she thought it might crack her ribs. "You're not alone. I'm right there with you, falling so hard it terrifies me." "Good." He kissed her slowly, sweetly. "Then maybe it's time to stop hiding. Maybe it's time to tell the people who matter." "Like who?" Adrian's expression shifted, becoming uncertain in a way she'd never seen. "My father. I've kept you separate from that part of my life because once you meet him, once you're in that world, there's no going back. He's demanding and judgmental and he'll have opinions about us. But if we're serious, if this is real, then I want him to know you. I want him to see what I see." Elena's stomach fluttered with nerves. "And what do you see?" "My future. Simple, direct, devastating." "Okay," she kissed him again. "Okay, I'll meet your father when?" "He's having a dinner party next Saturday. Big family thing. I've been avoiding it, but let's go together." Adrian smiled, but something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like worry. "Fair warning, though, my father can be intense, and the family dynamics are complicated. Just promise me you'll tell me if it's too much. Promise me you won't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong." "I promise." Elena snuggled closer, breathing in his scent, feeling safer than she'd felt in years. "As long as you're there, I can handle anything." She had no idea how wrong she was. That week, Elena's mother called with unusual excitement in her voice. "Mija, I have the most wonderful news. I'm seeing someone special." Elena nearly dropped her phone. Her mother hadn't dated since her father left 17 years ago. "Mom, that's amazing. Who is he?" "His name is Victor. Victor Russo. He's kind and generous and he treats me like a queen, Elena. I never thought I'd feel this way again." Her mother's voice trembled with joy. "He's having a family dinner this Saturday and he wants me there. He wants me to meet his son. I'm so nervous, but I think this could be real. I think this could be my second chance." Elena's blood turned to ice. "Wait, what did you say his name was?" "Victor Russo. Do you know him? His company has buildings all over Chicago." "Mom, what time is the dinner?" 7 o'clock at his estate in Lake Forest. Elena, what's wrong? You sound strange." Nothing's wrong. I'm just surprised, happy for you." The lies tasted like ash. "I'll call you later, okay?" Elena hung up and stared at her phone, her mind racing in circles of denial and dawning horror. It couldn't be. It was impossible. Chicago had millions of people. Thousands of men named Victor. This had to be a coincidence. But deep in her gut, she knew it wasn't. Saturday arrived too quickly and too slowly all at once. Adrian picked Elena up at 6, looking devastatingly handsome in a dark suit, excitement and nervousness playing across his face. "You look beautiful," he murmured, kissing her forehead. "Are you ready for this?" Elena wanted to say no, wanted to tell him to turn the car around, to run away, to never go to this dinner. But she didn't have proof yet, didn't have confirmation. So she just nodded and let him drive them toward Lake Forest, toward the sprawling estate that appeared behind iron gates like something from a movie. The house was magnificent, old money and new renovation combined into something breathtaking. Adrian took her hand as they walked to the door, squeezing gently. "Remember, you belong here, you belong with me." The door opened before they could knock. A distinguished older man with silver hair and Adrian's same blue eyes smiled warmly. "Adrian, finally, you grace us with your presence." His gaze shifted to Elena, and his smile widened. "And you brought a guest. How wonderful." "Father, this is." "Elena," her mother's voice rang out from inside the house, bright with surprise and delight. "Oh my God, Mija, what are you doing here?" Elena turned, and there was her mother, wearing a beautiful dress Elena had never seen before, standing in Victor Russo's foyer like she belonged there, like she lived there. The world tilted sideways. "You two know each other." Victor looked between them, confusion crossing his features. Adrian's hand tightened on Elena's. "How do you know my father, Elena?" "I don't." Elena's voice came from somewhere far away, "but apparently my mother does." Her mother rushed forward, grabbing Elena's hands. "This is Victor, the man I told you about. Isn't this incredible? What are the chances?" She beamed at Adrian. "And you must be Victor's son. How wonderful that you're all here together." Victor stepped forward, placing a loving arm around Elena's mother. "Maria is the love of my life. I've asked her to marry me and she said yes. We're getting married in 3 months." He looked at Adrian and Elena with paternal warmth. "Which means you two are going to be family, step-siblings. Isn't that perfect?" The silence that followed was deafening. Elena felt Adrian's hand go rigid in hers, felt the exact moment he understood what this meant, what they'd just lost. Adrian's face had drained of all color. Step-siblings. Yes, Victor clapped his hands together, oblivious to the devastation unfolding before him. I know it's sudden, but when you know, you know. And Maria's daughter is the only family she has. Adrian, you're the only family I have. Now we'll all be one family. Isn't it wonderful? Elena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The man she loved was staring at her like she'd just died, and in a way they both had. Everything they'd built, everything they'd planned, every whispered promise in the dark, all of it turned to ash in a single moment. Excuse me. Elena pulled her hand from Adrian's and walked toward the bathroom on trembling legs, her mother calling after her with concern. She made it to the marble bathroom and locked the door before the first sob broke free. This couldn't be happening. This was a nightmare. Her mother had finally found happiness, finally found love again after 17 years of loneliness, and Elena's relationship was the price. A soft knock. Elena, Adrian's voice wrecked and raw. Can I come in? She opened the door, and they stood there in the hallway, far enough from the dinner party that no one could hear, close enough to feel each other's hearts breaking. We didn't know, Elena whispered. We couldn't have known. It doesn't matter, Adrian's jaw clenched. They're getting married. In 3 months, you'll legally be my sister. We could tell them, we could explain. And destroy their happiness. Watch my father's face when I tell him I've been sleeping with his fiancé's daughter. Adrian's laugh was bitter. Your mother finally has a chance at love again, Elena. My father has been alone since my mother died. Are we really selfish enough to take that away from them? So what do we do? Tears streamed down Elena's face. Just pretend, just act like we don't love each other. Adrian pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight it hurt. I don't know, baby. I just know that right now, we have to go back out there and smile and pretend this isn't killing us. They returned to the dinner table like soldiers going to war. Smiled when they were supposed to smile. Made conversation when required. Watched their parents glow with happiness while their own world crumbled. Victor toasted to family, to love, to second chances, and Elena wanted to scream. Under the table, Adrian's hand found hers one last time. He squeezed once, a goodbye, a promise, a prayer, and then let go. After dinner, Elena escaped to the garden, needing air, needing space to fall apart. She was staring at the stars, wondering how they could keep shining when her entire life was ending, when Adrian found her. We can't keep doing this, he said quietly. Sneaking around, stealing moments, not when they're about to be married. I know, but I don't know how to let you go. His voice cracked. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, Elena. You made me believe I could be more than my father's disappointment, more than my mother's ghost. You made me feel alive. You saved me, Elena whispered. In that café, but also every day after. You showed me what it means to be loved, to be valued. How do I go back to a world where you're not mine? We don't have a choice. We always have a choice. Adrian turned to her, his eyes blazing in the moonlight. Then what do you choose? Because I'll do whatever you want, Elena. If you want me to tell them, I'll tell them. If you want to run away, we'll run. If you want to keep loving me in secret for the rest of our lives, I'll do it. Just tell me what you want. Before Elena could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Come back inside, Mija. Victor wants to make an announcement. They walked back together, maintaining careful distance, their hands aching to touch. The family had gathered in Victor's study, a room filled with leather-bound books and expensive art. Victor stood with Elena's mother, both of them radiating joy. We wanted to tell you both together, Victor began. Maria and I have decided that after the wedding, I'm going to legally adopt Elena. She'll become a Russo, officially part of our family. Isn't that wonderful? The room spun. Legally adopted. Not just step-siblings, but legal siblings in every way that mattered. Adrian's face had gone completely blank, and Elena knew that look. He was shutting down, protecting himself the only way he knew how. That's very generous, Adrian said flatly. If you'll excuse me, I have an early meeting tomorrow. Adrian, Victor started, but Adrian was already walking away. Elena wanted to follow, wanted to run after him, but her mother was hugging her, crying happy tears, talking about how they'd finally have the family they deserved. So Elena stood there and smiled and felt her heart shatter into pieces so small she'd never put them back together. She finally escaped an hour later, stepping outside to find Marco waiting by a car. "He asked me to drive you home," Marco said gently. "He can't. He needed to be alone." "Marco, what do we do?" The big man's expression was infinitely sad. "I don't know, kid. I really don't know." Elena got home at midnight and found a text from Adrian. "I need time to think. Please don't call. I love you. That's the only thing I'm sure of anymore." She typed and deleted 50 responses before finally sending. "I love you too. That has to be enough." But even as she sent it, she knew it wasn't enough. Love didn't solve this. Love didn't change the fact that in 3 months they'd be siblings. Love didn't stop the world from being cruel. Elena lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was how her story ended. If she'd finally found everything she wanted only to have fate rip it away with both hands. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Adrian sent at 2 a.m. "Meet me tomorrow, noon, our bench in Millennium Park. I think I found a way. I think I know how we can fix this." Elena's heart leaped with desperate hope. Maybe he'd figured it out. Maybe there was a solution she couldn't see. Maybe they'd get their happy ending after all. She had no idea that tomorrow would change everything. That the secret Adrian had discovered would destroy them both far more completely than any family dinner ever could. That the man she loved had just found out the truth about who her father really was, and why he'd really left all those years ago. And that truth would make their forbidden love look like a fairy tale compared to the nightmare that was coming. Comment below right now. What do you think Adrian discovered? Should Elena meet him or protect herself?
I love you.
And smash that
I love you
subscribe
too.
button because part 2 is going to absolutely wreck you, and you do not want to miss what happens next. Like this video if your heart is
I love you
racing.
too.
Share it with someone who loves forbidden romance. Part 2 drops soon, and I promise you, no one will see this ending coming.